Howdy heretics, every house is built by someone. I know that because I used to be one of Jehovah Witnesses, and that's called divine wisdom. Every house is built by someone, but the one who built everything is God. Well, before I tell you something about this, I would like to show you this. My wife is 8 months pregnant, and I have to fix this before the baby arrives, because as you see, there's only used to be 3 centimeters of insulation, and I have been doing this project, and the only problem now is that my 8-month pregnant wife is up this stair sleeping, and I'm afraid she will be angry when she comes down because she did not heed my warning. I told her that I had the power and the will to do this, and I provided what do you call it? A refuge city like Jehovah. And she didn't heed my warning, and at one point I actually had to remove this. So, so do I have a responsibility? The reason why I would like to ask you that question is because I have a legal claim now that the governing body own me an excavator because Jehovah tried to kill my friend in a spectacular way. The ground opened up in Norway and swallowed him and the excavator. True story. Can you come here and we can tell you outside? So he can work alone. Just follow me. So my legal argument is that Jehovah tried to kill my friend, he ruined my excavator, and therefore the governing body owns me a new excavator. So the basic rule in law, according to Jehovah Witnesses and the world of Satan, is that the guy who builds a house is responsible for mistakes he makes. But if there's some kind of benefit, like if I build a house, the benefit would be that I receive money. But if people walk into the house and use the house the way the house was intended to be used, and they get killed, well then I have a responsibility and have to give a portion of that money to my insurance company. So if Jehovah built everything, is he then responsible for what happened on the planet? If people use this house, my house, as a trampoline and fall down, I have zero responsibility because that's not the way it was supposed to be used. But if they use the living room as a living room, it collapsed and they get killed, I have a responsibility because it was the way it was intended. Well, this is an excavator, and now I'll tell you a spectacular story. My friend, he was out working, so imagine you have the mountain on that side and the Norwegian fjord on that side. And when Jehovah made Norway, he put a lot of clay in pockets, and sometimes this start moving. So he was removing stone, putting it closer to the sea to make some kind of road, some kind of marina. And then all of a sudden, he could see the sea on that side. So he realized that he was on an island, it was sliding. So he jumped out of the excavator, and the whole shebang collapsed into the fjord with the excavator and him, and he was dragged out 25 meters, and then 10 meters down, and he had to swim up. And you can't see anything because there was clay everywhere. So he was swimming, he came up, started swimming to the shore, and then he could hear like suction behind him, like, and he was sucked out again and sucked down 10 meters. We're talking about a grown man wearing boots in a cold fjord with no warning that this would happen. So he was yet again 10 meters down, was swimming up, reached the surface, started swimming again to the shore, and then he could hear, and he was sucked out again, and 10 meters down he managed to come up, swim to the shore, and got help from a guy. There was some kind of floating device there for this marina, you know, like a pontoon thing, and the anchorage for that was found 450 meters out in the fjord. So you can imagine the suction when there's an avalanche of clay under the sea. And my excavator, not this one, obviously, was sucked down into the fjord. Well, if everyone, now comes the application of the law, if every house is built by someone and that person have a financial interest in that, well, I'm not here to kink judge. I don't kink shame God. God don't want cash for building this planet, but he wants something. He likes the smell of burning cow. He wants worship. Sometimes he wants people to paint blood on walls. He wants singing. He wants different stuff of life than me. He don't want cash. But what if people use the planet like it's intended to be, and things like this happen? This, my friend who were working here, he was using the planet as it was intentional. He was making a marina. He was turning Norway into a paradise, and he was almost killed. Well, he doesn't need to be resurrected. However, my excavator needs to be resurrected. And if the governing body claim that in 1919 they were given the pocket, Jehovah's bank account, if you want to give money to Jehovah because you worship him, you have to give it to the governing body. They are in charge of all his belonging. Well, thank you very much. If you're in charge of all his belongings, then when something goes wrong, you are responsible for what goes wrong, and therefore I have a claim that the governing body owns me an excavator. Thank you very much. Because if you in all seriousness claim that if you want to give money to God, you should give it to me because I was elected by Jesus in 1919, and then through apostolic succession, it's now Stephen Lett and those boobs that are in charge of Jehovah's money. Well, what about acts of God in all seriousness? If you're a Jehovah Witness watching this, what when things go wrong? When people use the planet according to God's will, the way he intended, and they get killed. One of the best things in the Bible is that it says on the Israelites, if you build a house, you should have a wall around so no one falls down, you know? Because Jehovah knows that if you fall down from a 3-meter tall building, you might hurt yourself. So there's a legislation in the Bible that if there's something that's 3-meter tall, you need to secure it. Well, that's strong words coming from the guy that created Norway without reeling. He created Norway without reeling, and then he gave us alcohol and it said it's okay to drink it. At one point, you have to ask, isn't that criminal neglect? And isn't he responsible for things that happen? Just like a poor schmuck in Israel that builds a house, 3-meter tall, 3-meter drop, need to be secure. Norway, no reelings, a lot of alcohol. I ask you, leave me a comment. Would a Jehovah God be responsible for giving this apostate a new excavator? Tell me, let me know. If you're one of my 144,000 subscribers, you probably agree with me already. So, wish me good luck. Who's that wonderful girl? Can she be any cuter?
Thank you for doing this work. And guys, Jonas didn't get to do much protesting today because I told him that there are more important things.
Outside conventions.
So I really appreciate all your support and patience with this guy. So yeah, welcome to the hole in the floor.
But the good news is that Jehovah Witnesses lost the government funding in Norway, but now the Mormons will run into problem. And I love Mormons, and I love Jehovah Witnesses, and I think if you believe in something ridiculously stupid, you should. That's your right. But you can't treat children bad. And Mormons have something called wordiness interviews, where grown-ass men talk to young girls about masturbation, and that will become outlawed in Norway. We are in the process of protecting children in Norway. Hashtag already this month. So thanks to my patrons and to my lovely wife that didn't overreact. So please let me, okay, close the video and I will help. See you in paradise.